Hello, I am Christopher Chesterman with Liberty University. Today I'm going to talk to you about the religious beliefs of John Hancock and his expressions thereof. Although most people are aware that John Hancock has the largest signature on the Declaration of Independence, so that, according to legend, King George III could read it without needing to use his spectacles, most people don't realize that he was one of the instrumental political figures of America's government during the Revolutionary period. Now, the question surrounding Hancock's life is, was he fraudulent or faithful in his religious convictions and expressions? A personality analysis based on his personal writings as well as contemporary accounts of his actions conclude that he was an extrovert who exhibited an extrinsic consensual piety. He was ideologically inconsistent, and he was zealous in the quest for applause and the consummate showmanship with which he won it. To understand this conclusion, we need to understand the context of Hancock's life. He was born John Hancock III on January 23rd, 1737. Now, this is just before the Great Awakening, so he grew up hearing Jonathan Edwards, Samuel Davies, George Whitefield. If he didn't hear them personally, he heard of them. He read their sermons. He was aware of them. Furthermore, his father and grandfather were both Congregationalist ministers. However, before he could follow in their footsteps, his father died when he was 7 in 1744. His uncle, Thomas, who was a rich merchant, adopted him, and this afforded him a biblically based education at Harvard, from where he graduated in 1754. Now, at this time, Harvard was led by an old-like Congregationalist clergy. They were very doctrinal and very traditional. That could explain why his written references to religion are plain and quote-unquote consensual, because it was very straightforward. It was very applicable to everyday life. And furthermore, his wealth prompted him to have a status in society. He attended Braintree Church, which was the most prominent church in all of Boston, and it was shepherded by Samuel Cooper, who taught that merchants did not have to choose between profits and piety. They could have both. And wealthy people were supposed to use their wealth to help other people. So after he graduates, as he's living with his family, he is hearing all these similar coherent beliefs. He's a clerk in his uncle's store, becomes his representative to London in 1760. He's made partner in 1763, and he inherits his uncle's entire business and fortune in 1764 after his uncle Thomas dies. So he was very good at relationships. He liked tangible. He liked results. That's what made him so good at business. He could form relationships and do what needed to be done to make things happen. This is how in 1775 he was able to get money and supplies to the Continental Army when all else was falling out about him. However, his desire for being known is evident in the Braintree Church activity. He put up 1,000 British pounds in part because someone else put up land and timber for a new building, and he wanted everything all to himself. So he had to move the plot to donate the money and pick out everything: the building, the pulpit, the pews, everything. So he was a showman. Furthermore, on the anniversary of the Boston Massacre, in a speech he gave, he said, "Allured by the call of some of my respected citizens, with whose request it is always my greatest pleasure to comply." However, he did get results on writing for the Committee of Safety with his team. He basically gave thanks to God that they had the ability to make their own gunpowder, so they didn't have to buy more expensive gunpowder later. And furthermore, his religious expressions were no different than anyone else, calling God the supreme disposer of human events throughout his writings, and an appeal to Ireland to get them to join America in the revolutionary cause. So how do we reconcile John Hancock? Well, look at his actions. He was a showman. He loved pomp and circumstance. That is no doubt. But does that make him a bad person? Does that make him an irreligious person? No. He forgave death when he was a merchant. He pardoned Shays' Rebellion participants when he was governor of Massachusetts. He prayed for friends and family. He said so in his letters. He promoted various initiatives to support widows, orphans, tried to abolish slavery, make it easier to manumit slaves. And his extroverted nature explains both his political success and his literalistic appropriation of traditional doctrine. He presented unifying factors to promote internal unity of purpose, such as, again, appealing to patriotism at his Boston Massacre speech. He connected with people in the way that they understood him. And that is John Hancock and religion. Thank you.